Yeah, this is fantastic, guys. I'm really excited to be here and to be able to do this.
Us too, very much.
Well, so for people who have not heard about the film or might be interested, give us a brief synopsis of what the film's about.
Okay, so we didn't go into the film with a heavy plot mindset.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it's more about the character,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about this young priest that has found he's like a socially anxious person, and he has found in priesthood the discipline and the rules, like to feel in control of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's stuck in his ways, and he's very determined in his ways, in what he believes, and he's working with a world that is not open to him, and he has to, and the plot, there's a plot obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's he has to go meet his father, because his father is in the process of dying.
Mm-hmm.
And he believes he has to have closure with it, but he finds out that his father wants to be euthanized, have a dignified death.
Mm-hmm.
And he's very opposed to that, and because he doesn't get along with his father, he takes this opportunity to oppose him in a way. So that's where the conflict.
Yeah, it's fascinating because the movie is very slice of life, right? It's not like it might seem like it's building up to something, but really it's just studying this character and figuring him out, figuring the situation out, right? So you play Padre Pablo. Tell me about your interpretation of the character and how you approached playing this character.
Well, before we started shooting, Jose Luis and I, we talked a lot on how it should be portrayed. It's not a conventional priest in the way that most priests have to be charismatic and they have to have like this quality that attracts other people. They are great talkers. They are eloquent, and they have like this fine-tuned social skills. So it was an unconventional character. So we talked a lot before we started shooting because usually when you see depictions of priests in films, like they're very cliched, but this is, I think, a more complex character, even an unseen character, talking, religion-wise, and so we just talked a lot and tried to develop him and try to make him as human as possible, especially as a flawed human being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think that it is interesting, like following him and kind of learning, like watching him try to figure out the situation, but also be that flawed human being. I think there are moments in the movie where he does have to make confessions, and there's things that he does have to recognize as just being human and acknowledge and confess to. But something that I found very interesting about the film, and this one's for you, is how it was filmed. The camera doesn't ever move. It moves. So I remember there was a reverse shot where it's handheld. I don't remember the second one though, but I just remember thinking so the shot reverse shot, right? And that's the time where you see any movement from the camera. What made you decide to approach this film from a very stoic kind of perspective, at least behind the lens?
I think we were lucky to find many reasons to the film. Mm-hmm. One of them was we were jobless and we had the COVID.
Right.
So we didn't have anything else to do.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to build the film around the situation. And so we had a very low budget. We did it with, I think, obviously the work the unpaid work is more, but we spent like 3,000 American dollars, and so it was a very low budget.
And that was your entire budget, was 3,000 USD?
Spent.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So we didn't have a lot of time. The location is owned by a huge family of like the location is owned by like the great grandfather. So now it's like 50 different families that share it every week. So it was full of people all the time, which was a struggle because the film is very quiet and very still.
Right.
But we worked on that. So I knew we had to make a film that was fast to shoot, and I thought like, okay, the still images will work. So, and it also like the screenplay had this character that is struggling so far, but he's very meticulous and he's very like obsessed with the order, like I am. So we like it was luck, I guess, that we found that the way to shoot it also worked, because we risked thinking that maybe the audience would want to like go, because the character doesn't give away his emotions, so it makes you want to walk towards him to see what's happening. And so the way we shot it with still wide shots, it makes the audience walk towards the film and meet us halfway, because we try to like be subtle and stuff. Yeah. And because COVID, it allowed us to shoot very fast. Great. And because we got great friends and actors to act it, so we could trust them with the rhythm, because when you shoot it like that, you can't edit the scenes, because it's just what you shot. So the actors are like in charge of the rhythm and the timing of everything. And you can like you can direct a little after every shot and tighten something, but they will choose when to say the lines, how much to wait. That's incredible. I mean, I am a big fan in cinema of long takes, right? I think that there is an art in being able to direct a long take, because I think a lot of the mainstream films in Hollywood kind of cheat by doing a lot of cutting, and it just doesn't come off as authentic. I'm like, I can't see anything, you keep cutting. So it really made me happy when the film started with this incredibly long take of these priests and friends playing a board game or a card game or that just like made me really happy. I'm like, is this the whole film? Because I'll be okay with that. Great. Was it a lot of work or effort doing the long takes? Did you find like a challenge in that, or was it really authentic for your organic?
I mean, I wouldn't say so, because fortunately, we first and foremost, we're friends, so we know each other really well. So it's always good when you go into set as an actor in like the best comfort zone possible, comfort space, and so what better scenario than to have your friends as co-workers, and of course I think this guy is great, and I trust him completely. I felt like a huge safety net behind me all the time, so I wouldn't say it was very difficult.
Wow, that's incredible. So how long, I guess if we can ask a little more personal, how long have you guys known each other?
For like 6 years.
6 years?
5, 6.
Like in the film industry or elsewhere?
Yeah.
We met because the producer of this film, Gonzalo, we were starting to become friends because of work we had, and we like had the sense of humor. And he told me, I have this friend who's an actor and director, and he has done a short film. Would you like to watch it to like give feedback? Because I guess Gonzalo thought I had more experience. I've done a lot of short films. I guess that's experience.
Right. It's a little bit of experience, absolutely.
Yes. And so they came to where I was living, and they showed me the short film, and I met Rafa that way, and I liked the film, and I suggested my feedback, I guess. Yeah. And then from that we started being friends. Yes.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I mean, I guess like, and this is why I like doing these interviews, is because I get to learn things about this. It gives me a whole nother perspective of the film.
Great.
So that's awesome. And I mean, how are you guys enjoying Vancouver? You get to travel all the way up here and just experience the city and the festival.
The festival
loving
a lot. Like we have been watching like 3 films a day.
Yeah.
Great.
And I think like it's not just like as if we're regular tourists. I think the great thing about it is that our
Feels
work took us here. Yeah, no, our work took us here, so
Right.
it's definitely been a blast. Like people have been having a great reaction to the film, and all like from all these years of hard work, we've been knocking on so many doors and getting many no's, and this time we got a yes, so and things started to pick up from there.
We know there's no's there
Right.
waiting for us.
Yeah, there's
Right.
certainly
I mean,
more.
that kind of comes with the territory, right?
Yes.
But how great is it when you get a yes and you get to
It's
world
awesome.
premiere in Vancouver?
It's
That's
great.
so cool.
When I got the email, and they said, we are offering you a fee to project the film in the festival. I thought like they were asking us to pay them. Because there's so many
Right.
predatory behaviors from
Right.
Yeah,
from
the film
fake
industry.
film
yeah.
festivals and so
Right.
many like on the internet and everything.
Uh-huh.
And you submit, and sometimes you submit out of desperation to as
Yeah.
much festivals as you can.
Yeah.
And some of them they scam people.
Yeah.
So when I received I knew it was a good, respectable festival because I've researched it before for some other reasons. And everything.
Yeah.
But when I got the email, where my mind went was yeah.
Yeah, just
But
that expectation that you have of like, oh man, what other roadblock do we have to run into now?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
But this has been the complete opposite. It's insane.
that is so cool. Well, I'm glad that you're able to come up and participate and be a part of it. But I guess let's get back to the film. I am interested in what made you decide that this was the film that you wanted to make into a feature film? Because this is your feature film directorial debut,
Yes.
right? So what made this the story to make into a feature film?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try to condense the story.
That's fine.
But we have the priest trope. Yeah, that's the first.
Definitive answer. This is a sign.
No, because I actually had another screenplay I wanted to make, but it's about the violence of the narco in Mexico and the trauma it causes on the young men and children that are recruited to execute the violence of the cartels.
Great.
And it's a horror, like a psychological horror about that. And so I was trying to fund that, get funding, and a friend told me that Guanajuato State did funding for films, but that he did a film that was actually about the insecurity and violence, and they didn't like the film that much, I guess.
Okay.
And so he told me, you should write a short film and try to get fund for that, and film it for free, and use the money to start building your budget for the feature. So I wrote a very run-of-the-mill film about the priest and his ethical dilemma. But it was not this character, it was just like a normal charismatic priest. And we got funding, but very, very little. But we said, okay, we accept because it's funding.
Great.
For whatever, like we take everything we can get. So, but I was like, I want to say something more.
Great.
So I started to go like inside on my feelings about the church and how I grew up, because I grew up in a very Catholic household.
Great.
So maybe this is where the good part of the answer begins.
Great.
Like the personal one.
That's fair.
Yeah, and so my family is very Catholic and I'm not anymore.
Okay.
But I was very into it when I was like pre-adolescent, like in puberty, because I was in a Catholic school and I was a bullied kid, as many of us are, and this school and this specific order of the Catholic Church. They have this like afternoon like activity clubs where you go to where the religious men live, and you have activities where you can be yourself, like watching Lord of the Rings or like doing nerd stuff like that.
Yes,
like the geek stuff.
I love it. This is like my favorite part of the conversation.
And so you find a shelter there,
Right.
a real shelter with these people.
It's awesome.
And they make you pray a lot. And because they say you like there's a sanctity on the everyday life, like you don't have to be Mother Teresa, you can, like, if you want that Coca-Cola, you can wait, and that's a small sacrifice that pleases God. So you have these tools of discipline to make you feel in control of your existence and in your life, and to make you feel like a good person and like a complete person with God and the world. And so I was very into that.
That's awesome.
And I noticed most of the men there, like, went that path. They were socially awkward, like bullied kids, maybe gay, I guess, and then, but they found that shelter and they cling to that so hard.
Right.
And so I was writing a priest, and I said, like, what can I say that I know I can feel, like, how can I empathize personally with a priest to write a feature, because I knew we could shoot in the location for 2 weeks, so I said, why don't shoot a feature? So I was, and I connected with that very fast, so I wrote it, and then showed, and I wrote it with Rafa in mind, because Rafa can really turn himself into something like everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. He definitely fit this role really well. So well done.
And that's that's where it come from. And I just said, like, okay, if you like, Father Pablo is a person like that. Yeah.
You know, I'll get to my last few questions. The topic of what's the right term? Like planned suicide, I guess, or assisted suicide is a heavy topic, and actually a pretty prominent one here at VIFF this year. Films like All My Puny Sorrows and Everything Went Fine both also tackle this subject of people who want to go through with assisted suicide. I'm interested in what, and this is for both of you, either of your interpretations, what you want people to kind of take away from this story in relationship to that relationship that he has with his father and what his father wants and how he has to kind of reconcile with that. Like, what do you want people to take away from that?
No,
He has talked a lot, Rafael.
I think in this particular film, like, euthanasia is definitely a subject, and it's but I don't think it's like the most important part of the film. Like it can be like it could be any other controversial theme. It just happens that in this case is euthanasia, but I think what it is most about is when a character like Father Pablo tries to or gets face to face with such a controversial matter, especially with his dogma and his profession. In this case it's euthanasia, but I think the interesting part of the film revolves around how he reacts to this situation. Euthanasia, abortion, even in a place like Mexico, still like LGBT plus community, and these are all controversial stuff still in Mexico, unfortunately. And so I think that the film's use, if you will, it has to do with him confronting the situation directly, and with his father, who he has an estranged relationship with.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, like for us, this is not a debate, right?
Mhm.
Like most of these things the Catholic Church is still trying to debate
Right.
in public
Yeah.
shouldn't be debate anymore.
Right.
You know, so for it was like, okay, this is ridiculous that people still have to like paint this misery landscape to be able to gain sympathy for something that for us should be like a human right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is more what it's more what it does to the Father Pablo
Mm-hmm.
in the irony of having his father who they don't like each other anymore very much, as you see in the movie. So like his father wants to die and Father Pablo doesn't like his father and the father doesn't respect the kid.
Right.
So why does he want to keep him alive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, that's a big part of the movie because it helps. And we all have like troubled relations to a certain extent with the families. And like, yeah, my family is super supportive, but there are some places where you like,
yeah, family's complicated. I know this. I actually, my mom runs a restaurant, and so I help with the restaurant bartending and bar managing. And as much as I love my family, man, we can really like go at it sometimes when it comes to disagreements. But that's kind of what you're saying. I mean, that's just the dynamic of family, functional families at least. So I have to wrap up like 5 minutes ago, but I guess one of my last questions I want to ask is, you know, I don't know what the case is with like representation in Mexico, but I know in the States there's a massive push, rightfully so, to get more minority voices and minority stories into the mainstream and into in front of audiences. How do you feel about that landscape for you as a minority filmmaker and you as a minority actor? How do you feel about like trying to help move the needle on minority voices in film?
The thing is, I shouldn't like. I'm kind of white for Mexico, like very white for Mexico.
Great.
Like, I could be white in like any country, I guess.
Some people call me light-skinned. I'm like, okay.
So in Mexico, there's a term for whitexicans.
Oh, interesting.
So there's a big push for representation because in Mexico we tend to put like in the soap operas, all of the people are white, and that doesn't represent the Mexican experience at all.
Right.
So that's like has been and it's still very harmful. Like so with Father Pablo, it was hard to tackle that too much, like because the story was so personal about this guy. So we could, and this guy is trying to isolate himself from the world. Father Pablo does, like when he crashes with the world that is going far from the church, he doesn't like that, so he tries to be in his room all the time. So it's hard to bring all of Mexico to a film.
Right.
So we tried to do small stuff, you know, like the moment where this Esmeralda talks about wanting to migrate to the US for an opportunity, like that's an issue. And so it's not a lot. We could, it's but we are mindful of that, and like it's hard.
It is interesting about how I think there is a bit of a difference between how that conversation's happening in at least the States and Mexico, but you know, I really hope that your film is received up, you know, this far north, received well, and that people watch it, and you know, I'm wishing the best for it, really.
Thank you.
Any final thoughts on this?
Just thank you so much to you, Tom, all of the VIFF, Vancouver in general. It's been such a heartwarming and welcoming experience, and hopefully we'll be back soon.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so this is our first feature and our first festival and our first interview about it.
Oh man!
And you are such a great interviewer.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I am winging it. You know? That's great. Well, I think this is a very well-winged interview. So, you know, congratulations to you both again, and I'm excited for more people to see the film.